Okay, the first thing we want to do in installing the gear strut, the landing gear strut, is to start at the top of the landing gear strut, which is this beautiful thing right here. First thing we're going to do is take the end that has the longest bolt, and it also has two washers and a castle nut. So we're going to put this bolt right through here. Actually, this should be turned around like that. Okay. Now we're going to put the two washers on the back of the bolt and the castle nut. And then, of course, your cotter pin. Now, after we have this installed right here, we want to be sure that this is never too tight where the U-bracket will not turn. We want it to be able to turn like that. Okay? It's very important because this has to have full travel, and the U-bracket has to be able to turn a little bit so that when your landing gear legs go up and down from the landing and the shock and stress of your landings, that this can move as much as it wants to. So this stainless steel U-bracket has got to be able to turn a little bit like that. Now, you don't want it real loose, you just want it barely. Now, this hasn't been tightened down, you understand. I haven't tightened it down yet, but when it's tight, you should be able to take it like this and move it just a little bit like that with your hand, and then you'll know it's just right. Now we're going to do the other end of this strut. Okay, you want to put the landing gear leg into the weldment all the way up to this point right here where it's welded. And therefore you know that the aluminum gear leg is not going to go any further than this. Okay, so you want to be able to push it all the way up in there, all the way up to this point right here. And you want this angle here to be flat, pointing towards the ground. Okay, we want to take the bottom end of the landing gear strut, and we want to put the stainless steel U-bracket up against the gear leg like this. And then we want to take a pen. Magic markers work real well. The thin one, the Sharpie ultra fine point, is the one I recommend for use all over the airplane. Gives you, it'll mark on anything first of all, and it gives you a real good line. So you hold the stainless steel U-bracket like this, and you make a mark on the gear leg showing the side of where the the stainless steel U-bracket's going to go. Then you take this nut off, which you haven't tightened yet. You put that down on the ground like so. And now you put the stainless steel U-bracket back again up against the line like so. And you put your Sharpie pen in there and you mark where the hole goes. And that's where you're going to drill a hole. If you have a drill press, that would be the best way to do it. If not, then do it with some other sort of drill, and you're going to drill a 5/16 bolt hole right straight through there, all the way through the gear leg. All right, now that we have marked this spot with the stainless steel U-bracket, and we've drilled the hole, now it's time to take the shorter of the two bolts, and it goes right through here, and there is no washer on this one. Take your castle nut, put it on the back here, and there is no washer under this nut on the back side. All right, I'll tighten that up later. Now, you take this is your strut, you put this into its position here, and you take the 1/4 inch bolt, You go through from the top all the way through. Now there is going to be one washer on the other side of this 1/4-inch bolt here, on the other side of the stainless steel U-bracket, and it does not require a Cathal nut on this side, just a regular AN4 nylock nut. So you put that on there, and you want to tighten this particular nut down all the way, because when you tighten it down all the way, it will stop, leaving exactly 5/8 of an inch of travel between these two sides of the stainless steel U-bracket. And that's exactly how much travel this rod end ball joint needs to do the full travel. See that? To make its full rotation takes 5/8 of an inch. So when you take this 1/4-inch bolt and that one washer on the other side, tighten this down to the end of the threads, it will leave 5/8 of an inch between these two sides here, and then that way this can pivot all the way as the gear leg comes up and down on your landings, allowing this to pivot and not bind, which is very important. Now once again down here, you do not want this to be tight. You want it to be just loose enough so you can take your hand and turn it a little bit, because we not only want the ball joint rod end to be able to pivot, like you see right there, but we want this to turn a little too, if it needs to. That's the key here. Those are the key words, if it needs to. So there's no binding whatsoever. We want this to be able to rotate as well as the rod end ball joint, so that it does not bind at either this end or the end up there, and you'll have an excellent result there. Now I haven't tightened this yet because we don't have time, and then you want to put the cotter pin in there. But right now I'm just showing you how to get this thing set up. So this is the first thing you want to do before you wrap the landing gear. You want to be sure that the gear leg is down all the way like this when you measure this spot for the location of the hole. So you could take some masking tape or something and wrap the top part of the gear leg weldment up all the way so that the gear leg at this point is down all the way, so that you get a good accurate measurement when you mark this and drill the hole for this U-bracket here. And then you're ready to start on the wrapping of the shock cords. All right, the first thing we need to do is take one end of the cord and tie a knot 4 inches from the end, like you see here. This is a two-man job, one fellow underneath and one up above. And what we're going to do is start the other end of the cord through this part of the landing gear. Doesn't matter which direction you start from. I'm going to feed this through. I want to hand it to Paul here. Let me get some slack here, okay? Go ahead. Take up the slack and start wrapping it around. It's helpful to wrap this around several times so that you have a head start. Anytime you're ready.
Okay.
All right, now with the landing gear strut holding the gear leg in place, we go ahead and start wrapping, and we want to pull up on the cord about half of its stretchability. So we're going to take like half of the stretch out of it. Paul is going to hand it to me, and I'm going to hold it until he's ready to grab it. And then he pulls it up again. Hold on. All caught up here. Okay. Keep those wraps nice and straight. Now it's important to keep the tension on there all the time. So the guy who's down below like me can just hold it. I just have to put my weight on it. I don't have to use any other muscles. Just hold on to it with my weight until The other gentleman is ready to grab onto it. And he passes it down to me, and I hold on to it till he gets all straightened out there. These are the two pieces of aluminum. The smaller one goes on the bottom, the larger one goes on the top. So as we do wrap number 12, go ahead. I'm going to hold this in place, all right? Now I'm going to put this small piece on the bottom, okay? Okay, ready? Is that about where we want it? Right there?
Right.
Now we start wrapping 12 times more over the two aluminum pieces. Now we want to try to get 12 wraps on the bottom and 12 wraps on the top. That's crooked. Hold on. Go back a little bit. Okay, go. Now some...
Damn.
Yeah, but see, this has got to go over. This has got to go over here. Okay, now Paul, if you'll hold that real good there on the top, I'm going to tie the knot here, pushing it through the same mechanism. This is where it comes in real handy to have a pair of vice grips. I'll be a son of a gun. Look at that. Somebody has a pair of vice grips. Got it?
Okay.
Get as close to that mechanism as you can there.
Okay.
Okay. Now we will tie the final knot as close to that position as we can. Okay, here's the proper procedure for taking these two flat aluminum sheets and putting the proper bend on them. We'll start with either one of them, in this case the larger one. Use the longeron tube anywhere on the airplane you want and lay it in this position so that it's going long ways, and then just simply bend it around. And you'll end up with something like this. Then you can take your fingers and bend it around a little bit tighter. So you'll end up with something like that. And you can do the same thing with the other one. Try to bend it right in the middle, right in the center, so you have the same amount of aluminum on each side. And then of course it'll get much tighter when you put the bungee cords on it. And that's how you do these. And if you have a hard landing and the gear leg comes up higher than normal,